Recording. Awesome. So we're going to get started in just a couple minutes as folks join in today. But thank you all for joining, and welcome to Content Marketing Hacks Part 2 of our issue webinars. Oops. Today is Part 2, not Part 1. Actually, let me sorry about that. Part 2 of Content Marketing Hacks. Today, we are going to get started in just a couple minutes as folks join in. But to note, there is a recording of Part 1, which is available on our YouTube channel that is accessible for everyone. And today's webinar is also being recorded. So just some housekeeping notes as folks join into today's webinar. All participants today will be muted throughout the duration of the presentation to ensure best audio quality for everyone. If you have any questions, you can submit them using the Q&A button to do so, shown here. So if you have any questions in particular, please be sure to ask them in the Q&A. So it's just easier for us to reply to all of those answers, filter them, and review them after the webinars as well. And lastly, we are recording today's webinar and we'll share the link in our follow-ups so you can listen to it again or share it with others who might be interested. Today's agenda, again, for Content Marketing Hacks Part 2, we'll do a really quick overview of Part 1. Again, Part 1 is recorded as well and is shared on our YouTube channel as well as on Issue. So I'll show everyone where you can find all of our recordings. And today's topics, we will be going over 30 minutes or so, maybe more. I actually have quite a few slides today. Was really excited about this topic on issue insights for content marketing hacks, and then about 10 minutes or so of a demo of issue and some of our own solutions. And finally, we'll have an open Q&A at the end of the time that we allotted. So we'll just answer some questions in the Q&A. And we'll also be collecting all of those questions that are submitted for review afterwards as well. So a little bit about myself. My name is Megan Cole, and I am a product marketing manager here at Issue. I've been here for 3 years now. And in that time, I've worked really closely with marketing, understanding how marketing affects and influences users everywhere, especially how the users of Issue as a product can utilize us as a solution and as a really great creative solution. So I'm always really excited to share kind of my marketing and advertising background and know-how and applying it with Issue, as well as finding solutions for creators and marketers and all folks who are looking into the different digital opportunities that exist today on the internet. So as we get started, I always love to start with a couple of polls just to get an understanding of who is joining. So if you could please answer my first poll, just to get an understanding of what level of marketer you would consider yourself, whether beginner, intermediate, advanced, expert, or not a marketer. When it comes to beginners or not a marketer, these are really meant to be kind of ways to get started and come up with new ideas and maybe even apply those ideas to other roles. So don't be intimidated. They're meant to be really accessible and great kind of learning sessions that you can join in on today. So I'll give that a couple more seconds to be answered. And as everyone answers these, another reason why I like to do these polls, not only to just engage and get to kind of see and hear from you all, I always love to get an understanding of who is joining so I can kind of edit what I am speaking to or what level of detail I might be providing for any of the questions that you might have today. All right, thank you guys for answering. And now I have one more question. For now, I would love to know the main reason you've joined today, whether it is to learn tips and tricks for using Issue, learning about content marketing trends, learning about publishing trends, other or all of the above or none of the above. So please just answer. You can check all that apply, multiple choice. Getting an understanding of these also really helps me tailor what I present and what I focus more or less on in today's sessions as well. And as we are answering this poll question, we can dig into today's topic on content marketing hacks and trends. So I think just to take a step back and understand the opportunity that we're talking about and defining what content is really important, because that it can very easily become a buzzword in the marketing space. So to put it simply, content is any asset or deliverable you create or use to get your message across to your audience. So content can be videos, audio, images, blogs, emails, websites. The list can go on, really. But what's really important to consider is that the root of all of your content is based in messaging. The content can be flexible, but your messaging should be consistent. So as long as you're telling a consistent narrative and story about your brand or your magazine or whatever it is that you are trying to promote, as long as that is consistent on all of your channels, that is really where you're going to find a lot of success in creating your content, as well as finding other ways to repurpose your content. So one thing that we say a lot over here at Issue is don't reinvent the wheel if you don't have to. So in the world of content and content marketing, there's always kind of that unending pressure to deliver high quality content to your audience across an ever growing array of channels. When resources are limited, you have to stretch everything you need to succeed. So this kind of goes into a little bit of what we covered in last week's topic, and is a continuation as well into part two. One of the biggest opportunities we see, especially for kind of agile teams that are working on a lot of different projects and trying to get a lot of volume out, is repurposing your content. So finding ways that you can take content or assets and maybe redesign them or repost them or share them in different ways on different channels in order to get the most out of that first asset that you created. So when you are doing that, in part one, we went over some of the ways that you can identify your opportunities, as well as the goals you have for your repurposed content. For reaching new audiences, reinforcing your message, as well as improving your organic visibility. So again, the full recording of part one is available on our YouTube channel, as well as on issue.com. So we will be sharing out part 1 and 2 in our follow-up emails as well. So there's a full recording of that, as well as the presentation that we shared in part 1. So jumping into part 2, identifying what types of content you want to repurpose, or really seeing the way that you can increase the velocity of your marketing materials. These are the 4 ways that we'll be covering today. How you can create your assets with a purpose, or in this case, a repurpose, updating and reposting, using internal data to create infographics, making presentations into a form of distribution, and lastly, how to kind of optimize web experiences into videos and using video content on the web. So to get started, we have uploading and reposting blog content. I think this is kind of the most straightforward of the ways that you can take your content and kind of update it and make sure that it's always driving traffic. Not only do you have your opportunities for having evergreen content, which is content that's always relevant and will always kind of help hit search terms, but you also have the opportunity to refresh that content. If you run a blog in particular, updating blogs should really be part of your content strategy. A lot of posts that contain really good information don't have to stay lost in the past. So as you comb through your blog archives, pick out posts that can still be valuable with a few tweaks, whether it is updating new details to the blog content or taking some of the elements from your posts and repurposing them or using them in different ways or creating whole new topics on like certain tidbits in your blog posts. Maybe you have like a really cool interview with a customer that you did as a blog post, and you can use those elements and either refresh it, kind of do another recap, or use some of those quotes again in other spaces as like success stories or as customer case studies. There are a lot of opportunities there to update and repost your content. And tip that we have, especially when you are updating your content, of course, is to just notate in your title that the post has been updated with new information. So if you're refreshing something, if you have blog about products and you have new product lines, or if you have a kind of case study and you have more data that you wanted to add on top of that case study from your post, you can always go back, refresh it, and notate in your title that it has been updated and when it was updated. This way you can really draw your readers in and they can see that you keep up to date. They have the latest data and trends, and readers who previously read it can always kind of enjoy the nice refresher of the content that they've already consumed and see how it's been updated to be more modernized. And when it comes to updating and reposting on your social channels, of course, to get very started at the very beginning, if you haven't already, be sure to create a business account for your channels across your social media. So when you make your social media channels, make sure that you indicate they're like a business account so you can get access to each of those platforms' analytics on their like top performing posts and all the other analytics and data that different platforms provide. So I can actually show you really quickly a bit with the channels that I am allowed to show. For example, in our Pinterest channel, we have our business hub where we can see our pins and some of our analytics, and I can kind of take a look at my recent pins as well as the top pins, the ones that get a lot of traction. And that just helps me inform for my Pinterest strategy in particular, which ones are kind of the best performing posts and how I can maybe repost them or make an encore performance or test them out on other channels. It's a really great way to just continuously see how you can improve your content, as well as understand what is driving results, whether it is like advertising content or your kind of brand look and feel content. And you can get a better understanding of all of the different channels needs as well, whether it's photography elements versus text and long form, or illustrated content versus like video recordings. There's a lot of different ways you can look at what are your top performing pieces and not only use them for encore performances or reposting them, retweeting them, or whatever it may be, but also how you can kind of use that to inform your strategies into the future as well for ways you can post similar types of content in the future. So our second tip is how you can use your internal data for infographics or case studies. So when it comes to infographics and case studies, using those statistics on social media pages, especially Instagram and LinkedIn, which are really both professional channels as well as really visual channels in the case of Instagram, really help make your page as a whole look credible. It shows your public that your business cares about the industry data as part of your brand. So this might not be the best fit for every solution, but it's a really great way to just kind of take some information that you may already have and repurpose it and refresh it into looking like a different piece that can then be shared out on social channels. So when you're doing this, you should really consider what types of data are you collecting as a company, as a business, as an individual, and how can you interpret those types of data? So some examples that we have are like our social media metrics. As I just showed, if you collect any of those metrics or the SEO data or traffic performance, there's room to use that data to make either a case study or media kits or other materials out of those materials. So you can draw inferences from the data you've collected in the past and try to learn something new. So let's think about it in social media metrics, right? If I go into my Facebook Business Manager and I look at my social media metrics to understand my overall audience, as well as what types of content they're consuming, if I see 60% are women, 40% are men, there's a great way that you can kind of take that information, visualize it into infographics, and start making different types of case studies and understandings, just to show kind of your data-minded ways to create your content and the ways that you're using that information to inform your customers as well as the decisions you're making. Another thing you can do is collect any like third-party outside data. So just looking up studies relevant to your brand. Say, I'm making these numbers up, but like 20% of people enjoy using lipstick. You can add those types of tidbits from outside sources to add to your infographics and kind of beef up and contextualize the story that you're telling with that information. And another great way you can pull statistics, of course, is with issue. So it's another great starting point to flesh out your infographics and data. And I'll show you all what that looks like a little later during our demo portions as well. Our next tip on how you can take your content and build out your content marketing portfolio is to turn your presentations into distributable content. So if you have a great presentation, it's always a great way to share it out. You've probably heard me say this if you've ever joined our past webinars before, but these webinars themselves are an example of this. We always record them, share them on our channels, as well as posting them on our blogs. We can export the slides into image sets so we can upload them on our corporate blogs or social media channels. There's also opportunities for the recordings, of course, to put them into videos and put them on YouTube, Vimeo, other video sharing sites. But if you wanted to go even a step further, you can elaborate on any of those topics that you cover in your presentations, go a little bit deeper and reformat them to make an ebook as a presentation topic. And once you have all of those assets created, you can really easily export your presentation as a PDF and upload it to Issue to keep the distribution going. So to show really quickly what that looks like, I'm going to go to issue.com/issue, which is our official channel. And here you can find all of our webinar topics that we've covered. We take the Google Slides that I create and just export them as a PDF in Google Slides and easily upload them along with the recordings of our videos. So we have a really nice deliverable asset after the presentation is done and have made it into this really nice flipbook version, which can then be shared out as well. So I'll go more in depth during the demo on how exactly we did that, but it is really meant to be just another way that you can take your content and share it out in a lot of different ways. And our last topic is how you can use your web page content as video content. So there are a few different ways that you can think about this, but the biggest opportunity that we saw is just understanding like such a high percentage of internet users are enjoy video content because it is really visual as well as having audio elements to it. And if you have your long form blog posts or other posts, or if you do demos of products or recordings or anything like that, it's a great way that you can just kind of create a video asset out of those. So we use video recordings of product demos, for example. We also use the recordings from our webinars as a way to then take those assets and create more videos out of them. If you have YouTube content strategy, producing videos with your blog post information can really easily fit into that strategy. So we go over some of our blog topics as a team, and identify which blog topics sound really interesting and which ones we might want to flesh out into webinar series or create into kind of digestible videos that we post on our stories. And it just really helps make your content available across more than one platform. Another way that you can use video content is to add it into your blog post. So instead of taking the blog post and creating a video, just embedding video contents into your blog posts, or embedding the videos, as you saw in our issue example, embedding your blog posts into your issue publications. There are a lot of great ways that you can kind of integrate video and create videos really easily from materials that you already have. And just a side note, I didn't even add this in our tips. The way that I actually edit the videos for our YouTube channel when we do these recordings and everything, I just use QuickTime Player. So it has QuickTime on Mac. I think there's also a lot of, I'm pretty sure QuickTime is also available on Windows, but there are also other free video editing softwares that make it really easy to just quickly add cuts and edits and stuff like that as well, to really quickly create video elements. And all of that is to say, with those tips, we really have goals here at Issue to align our content marketing needs with our users. So some of the ways that I'll be demoing today and understand are really aligned with who we are as a company. Our goal is to help people transform static designs into high performance content for every digital marketing channel. So what this means is you can publish your content to Issue. So you can take any PDFs or Word documents or PowerPoint presentations and upload them super easily to Issue and create a flipbook content that has that really nice interactive elements to it. And then share it across multiple channels and repurpose it for different use cases across multiple channels using some of our other features and tools that I'll be covering today. And lastly, you can use the statistics to measure impact, or in the cases that I showed today, even use the statistics as a way to create more assets and kind of share out more visuals and graphics related to infographics, which takes us into today's demo. And trying to be mindful of time as well. So today, just for first thing I'm going to do is really quickly show here in this example, what I am going to do is take my slides, and I'm going to go in Google Slides and go to download as a PDF document. So we support a lot of different file types, and you can find all of the files that we support on our help center, but I would recommend exporting your content as PDFs because that is just kind of the easiest way for our backend to detect all of those elements as well. But when I upload my content, I'm going to go over here to the left-hand corner, click on upload, and you can really easily drag and drop your files or upload them from your device, from Dropbox, or from Google Drive. So if you have any elements or assets on Dropbox or Google Drive, we have really great integrations that connect really easily to your content. Once I have added my PDF, I just clicked and dragged since I just downloaded it now. We take all of the elements and convert them into a flipbook version of your content. So as that's validating, I'll just add in some of the details, including the title. You can also add a description to improve your search optimization, just adding any relevant details about your content. Types, and so on and so forth. Some of these features are part of paid plans, which are also indicated by the green stars here. So if I wanted to schedule my content to be posted at a later date, I could do that. Today, I'm just going to make it an unlisted publication, so it's private because this is not the final form of the document. And as that validates, it might take a second because it takes me a little bit of time when I am also streaming. So while we check on the draft progress, I can also show kind of what this looks like in some of my other examples and how you can use these to either repurpose your content or create other assets out of them. So in this case, we have kind of a magazine piece where you can really easily take the elements and create article stories with that content. So article stories will automatically detect content within your spreads and convert them into a scrolling, readable article version of your content. So that's just one really quick way that you can share your content out. But if you want to create more visual assets, you can go over to the left-hand side here and click on Create GIF and use our GIF creator to make a quick preview of your content and download it or save it out. So in today, for purposes of time, as well as the making sure we have time for the Q&A, I'm not going to go too in depth on each of these demos, but these are just some of the tools that we have in place that you can use for your own solutions. Another way that you can share your publication and your content is embedding it directly onto your website. So this is what's really great, especially for using in blog content or reposting content or updating content as well. So when you're embedding your content on a website, we will take these page flip versions of your content and provide an embeddable code that can then be added into any blog posts or any other websites that you want. So for example, let me just open up the issue blog to show what this looks like. So I'm going to open our Earth Day example. And here you can see we have our blog content. We used a lot of the copy from our blog content to kind of populate our social media posts as well on Earth Day. And then we embedded our full flipbook version of our content onto issue and embedded it right into the pages as well. So when we embedded our content here, it's just another way to kind of enhance your content. You can also add additional embeds, or you can add additional publications. Here we have Star Wars publications that are on issue, and we embedded a few different examples here. And that's just another way that you can continuously add and enhance your content, or even add more interactive content in your posts. And then going back over here, you can always adjust what page you want to start your content on by defining which page you want to start on here, as well as the layout, whether you want it to be a double page or single page preview. We can also auto flip the pages and so on and so forth. So this is one way that you can share your content. We have our GIF maker, we have our embedding. We also have our visual stories tool, which is a way that you can really easily create vertical video content from some of these elements as well. So I'm starting to lose my voice, 1 second. So what I'm going to do here in this example is select some pages from the publication I created, and it will create a vertical video version of my story that we call visual stories. We have 3 pre-templated styles right now. This logo here is just the default logo because it is my profile icon, but it will be your own profile icon. And I can really easily kind of click and drag to edit the elements and make changes to any of my content, or change the text out here, and then preview that and create a kind of slideshow video, vertical video that's really great to add audio on top of, or any other video elements, and use as a video asset on different social channels. So you can always do that on like social media, such as Instagram or TikTok, or Facebook videos, and do voiceover in the platforms tools as well. So we make the visual assets that you can then kind of enhance further on all of the different channels. And then before we get into the Q&A, the last thing I want to share, of course, is going into our statistics really quickly. So statistics are available on all plans, but the level of detail is a little different on each plan. You can find more information on issuu.com/pricing. But here we can see on my test account that doesn't have particularly high numbers, we can see a really quick overview of some of the different impressions, reads, average read times, clicks, and so on and so forth from all of my publications, or from specific examples, or from specific posts that I have as well. So you can see kind of a breakdown of the performance over different date ranges. It's a great way to just kind of, sometimes I'll use these as like screenshots just to kind of share that really nice visual version of your content. We can also see how it breaks down on your different reading devices, whether they're desktop, phone, tablet users, or their sources, whether it is directly on issuu.com or an embedded version of your content. So in the case of your blog content that's embedded, it would be associated with an embed source. We also do a breakdown of the readers around the world, which is really cool. We have this nice interactive map where you can see where all of your readers are coming from, as well as the top 10 countries there. So I would say that this is like, if you are working on creating infographics, this could be a great kind of starting point. But of course, you always want to kind of add on and layer on more information for those infographics as well. And with that, before we get into the Q&A sessions, I have one last poll for everyone. If you are interested in a free workshop on how Issuu can help transform your content into stories, emails, and social posts to engage your customers, just click yes, and you can sign up to join the Issuu Academy workshops. So typically in these webinars, as you can see, we don't have a lot of time to go in depth on every single feature, but the Issuu Academy workshops are weekly workshops with our customer success team that are on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, covering how to get started, preparing your PDFs for upload, how you can optimize your content, and lastly, how you can use statistics and integration. So these are great working sessions, usually smaller number of folks join on, and it's just a great way to get into the product and get some questions answered really one-on-one, or it not one-on-one exactly, but smaller groups, and definitely have a lot more time and working sessions with our CS teams to cover any specific questions you might have. So that brings us to the Q&A. Michelle, are there any questions in particular? Yep. If anyone has any questions as well, feel free to, again, ask them in the Q&A section.
One I think might have been answered by your demo, but a follow-on to that is about embedding certain types of pages into your blog post. Will the views of the embedded content count in your Issuu statistics?
Yes. So going into the Issuu statistics again, you can see that the sources here are going to be broken out by embeds or issuu.com. This is my numbers aren't great because this is not an official account as much as a test account. So hopefully you don't have 99% issuu.com and 1% embeds. But you'll be able to see the breakdowns in your statistics as well. And both are counted as your statistics.
And then the next question is, can I use Issue to create digital projects for my clients? And I think tied into that is, can you create unique branding for each client? So perhaps talk a little bit about how the uploads, and you can tailor each of those with the colors that you want.
Yeah, great. Um, so I also see this is a basic plan user. So these features go into some of our paid features, but you can create kind of with the different assets that you upload to Issue, you can create different branded experiences really easily. With our visual stories and create GIF tools, we have options to adjust your fonts. Visual stories, you can adjust your fonts. And with our animated GIF, you can always change your background colors to different hex codes or different color picker. So you can always make those types of adjustments for the different brands that you have. And when it comes to our embedding on website, this is the same. You can change your brand look and feel. And one piece that I didn't cover today is also our full screen sharing, which is, let me just show that really quickly. Full screen sharing is a link on issue.com that is fully dedicated to the uploaded content you have shared. So with your full screen shared link, it looks like its own web page, and you can add additional layers of branding look and feel based on background color. You can also add brand logos, background images if you want to, instead of having a solid background, have a custom background image for the brand. I don't have those pulled up right this moment, but those are some of the ways that you can also do more branded experiences for your sharing.
I think that wraps us up for today, given our time frame.
Awesome. So thank you again, everyone, for joining today, and hope to see you again soon, and enjoy Issue.